Remedial instruction. What is the remedial instruction? It comes from the diagnostic assessment. At first, we should know about the remedial instruction. Remedial instruction is arranged for students who have temporarily fallen behind their studies, which is examined by the diagnostic assessment. Remedial instruction is also offered to students in need of special assistance. Instruction starts immediately after the diagnosing a learning disability to help the student to catch up in the studies. A teacher usually takes initiative in offering remedial instructions. Instructions can be arranged either during the normal school hours or after school hours. That means it can be arranged in home environment or by the parents. Before starting instructions, the school always contacts the guardians. Now we are come to the point where the remedial instructions are given. Before starting the formal education, the formal learning, we have to identify what exactly any problem are arising within the child or not. That's why we introduce diagnostic assessment. The teacher will be assessed this type of diagnostic assessment. After that diagnostic assessment, teacher confirm that understanding of current situation, second, knowledge about how to improve, third, required resources. That means what exactly the situation is present. Through the diagnostic assessment, we can identify how to improve the student's quality. It also be identified, and what kind of new resources are required. It also identified by the diagnostic assessment. After that, we need actions. Actions. What is these actions? This action is remedial instruction, where we give some teaching, and after that teaching, student can improve in perspective of learning, or that means they improve their learning outcomes. If they not actually improve their learning output, then it will go to the again the diagnostic assessment till this cycle is going on. When the teacher not satisfied with the student's quality or student's achievement. Now we come to the another cycle. There we can identify, that is, first in upper section, this is target. That means target of teaching. First of all, make assessment, and that assessment is related with the expectation clearance of teacher expected and student also expected what exactly their learning outcomes. Second, ask questions to confirm that student know what to expect. That means student expectations can be identified by the asking questions. Then this circle, then we go to the measurement. Here it is. Measurement means first we ask questions, second Measure the majority of students. Third, create comfortable environment for ask questions. Three of all are most important to measurement after targeting teaching. Here, two things are arise. First of all is motivation for measurement, and second is barrier to measurement. If we motivate for measurement, then cycle is running, and if we are facing some barrier, that cycle is break at, at that point where we need some kind of special reinforcement. Next, it goes to feedback. First, answer questions in formative way that where student can form their knowledges. Second, peer assessment. The group assessment must be done. Repetitive assessment or feedback cycle. We need to repetitively repetitively assess identify the students quality, and we getting repeatedly feedback, and it create a cycle. Fourth, give verbal feedback. Not always written feedbacks are true always. We need to get verbal feedback where we can identify students are confident or not. Fifth, use summative assessment in formative way. That means summative assessment is a part of formative assessment. The nature of formative assessment is present in summative assessment. There are also two things arise. First, first of all, motivation for feedback, and second is barrier to feedback. Same things happen what happened in previous section, that means measurement. Next, this cycle go to the adjust. Adjust adjust teaching when majority is struggling. That means majority of students when they are being struggling, at that time we should to adjust our teaching strategies. Adjust teaching based on measurement. Teaching must be on the basis of the measurement. What kind of measurement we want, that kind of teaching should be given. Request student questions. Again, there is a provision of questioning. That means question, if students answer the questions, and we are frequently asking questions to every student, that is a positive thing or positive reinforcement or positive motivation. Same thing is arise here also. The motivation for adjustment and barrier to measurement. And then it go to the, if we think that they have some need of remedial teaching, that means we get we we take again examination or assessment. The overall the process, teacher are as a provider, and we can understand from this diagram that everything goes as a clockwise rotation. That denotes that positive attitude to a remedial assessment. If it is not clockwise arranged, that means it is not a proper remedial assessment attitude. If cycle is continue, then informed techniques run. If cycle break after, then uninformed technique run. When it is happened? If the cycle is break after adjustment. Now we are clear Here now we come to the fourth section and what their motivation and what their barriers. If we go to the target, the motivation for target is want to encourage his students that can do well, make assessment expectation with clearance. Second, does not student blame for any failure that make assessment expectation clear. Next, measurement. There have two sections: motivations for measurement and barrier to measurement. Motivation for measurement is continue, then cycle also continue. If the barriers to measurement is come, then cycle is break down. The motivation for measurements are wants to gain student understanding. The most of the student understanding creates comfortable atmosphere, measures the majority students ask questions. Second, want students to think about concept and they have to get some opportunity to ask questions. Wants involvement. Whose involvement? Students' involvement and teachers' involvement also. Ask questions by the student and create comfortable atmosphere. If the barrier to the measurement come, first one believes measuring the majority is enough. That means teacher believes that majority is enough for any output. They cannot consider minor students who are not successful in their learning. Moves on if one or two students respond to his questions. That means they are not considering one or two students who are not responding with their answer, with their questions. Relies on institutions. They are believe on institutions. Assume he knows what student understand and struggle with. Next, we come to the feedback. What are the motivations for feedback? Wants engagement that wants engagement and involvement. Answer questions in a formative way and peer assessment also taken. Second, wants students to understand the correct concept, where we can discuss graded tests and quizzes, repetitive assessment and feedback cycles gives verbal feedback. And thirdly, does not want student to blame him for any failure. If we give something, if we blames them, then they could not continue in this cycle. Where we can discuss tests, quizzes, repetitive assessment and feedback cycles give verbal feedback. What happened when the barrier are come to feedback? Unsure if students use feedback. When we are not sure the students are getting proper feedback, the feedback may not work and gives feedback, but students must seek out more if they want it. Come to the next, the adjust or adjustment. Motivation for adjusting teaching is wants the students to ask questions, adjust teaching by the requesting student questions. Second, want students to understand correct concept and adjust teaching based on the measurements, adjust teaching when a majority is struggling. Third, does not believe in strictly following a lesson plan, adjust teaching based on measurement. What are the barriers in this section? Believe he must cover most material directly and does not use clicker question to save time.